There hasn't been anything that's been causing this much noise in a while.
Long time.
Since the existence of time, the Trinity rules the three worlds. We have in-ears, so everything's better for us.
Brahma. Oh my god.
No one's done a music focus review? Well, you come to us.
Oh my god.
Destruction. Nice. Hero-esque.
That's awesome.
5,000 years? That's Ranbir Kapoor, I think.
Who's Rahman? Power and Revenge.
Yash. What the Sunidol? Hanse manea rama. Oh shit.
Wow. Yes. This is very Hans Zimmer.
And that's very AR.
I wonder who the girl is.
Wow. Our truth, our history.
Stop! That is incredible! Oh my god! Diwali 2026 and part 2, Diwali 2027.
That's cool that they tell you what the fuck's gonna happen even in the future.
That is so sick!
Yeah, Ranbir Kapoor, Ravi Dubey, Yashi's Ravana, okay, so I recognize that. Sai Pallavi, Sunny Dul, Udo, I don't know how to say his name. Interestingly enough, we've seen a lot of people obviously review this, and it's been quite a while since there was anything with this much hype worldwide or this much excitement.
Wow.
From a musical perspective, I don't think we've seen anyone sort of do a focus of this. There's a lot to break down, so do bear with us. It is Hans Zimmer and AR. I think very obviously everyone can feel Hans Zimmer. You know, think Interstellar, think Lion King, think Dune. This actually had more. I've always thought of this. If you had the depth, the historical depth, there's so many stories. There's so much history. There's so much depth in Indian culture. If you had that much depth and you have someone like Hans Zimmer to provide that feeling of epicness, of something bigger than life,
Yes.
larger than life, which obviously it fucking is. And then you had someone like AR, to use an example. I could think of other, and same in the West, I could think of other composers as well that would be able to do this. But Hans and AR are like a match made in heaven. It's like Federer and Nadal
Really
playing
is
doubles.
coming together. Yes.
But if you had someone then who would understand the depth and nuance of such history and was able to not only place it and have the amount of detail, culturally relevant detail, with classical influences, with both Carnatic or Hindustani classical, and that also is a hit maker in Indian pop and Indian classical pop. You could actually finally satisfy, which I think is the hunger that I think the Indian public has. And in my opinion, I've always felt this, but I felt like Indian cinema could be the thing that rivals or beats, as is done proved with RRR, and it's funnily enough, he's the South lately, could literally break down so many barriers that people have, because there's people that, you know, here in the West that have never seen an Indian production.
That's right.
And they think everything is just the memes or whatever which some of it is for sure. Some of it is great and some of it is shit. Fucking Dilhe Mushikil does exist, and that was great music and also a good director, but he fucking blew ass. And Adi Purush, that seemed just like he was blowing smoke of his own ass. And every reviewer we know, Indian and non-Indian, agreed. And it was ambitious, but execution lacked.
And I think what I love about this particular combination of elements, though, you have fantastic script writers here. You have genuine, amazing visual directors.
Award-winning visual and special effects directors here.
You have the talent. The talent already it's proving that it will be promising.
Well, the acting pedigree is fucking mental. Ranbir Kapoor is the best probably actor in India at the moment. Mainstream.
Time. Yes, I agree.
Sai Pallavi, in our opinion,
fantastic, underrated. I actually think she's underrated.
Not anymore.
No. Well, this will change.
I don't think she's underrated in her own industries. No, but in the world, I think she might be.
I do think she's a name that people wouldn't think of. Like straight away when they think Indian cinema, they don't think Sai Pallavi.
And she might be one of the best straight actors.
And I think she's potentially going to prove
I hope so.
Prove the worth here.
Yash, people know him from a lot of films, same as Sunny, right? It's a lot of a lot of big films.
Correct. But what I love about this particular intense film, it's that because he has the fantastical elements of it, it is larger than life. You cannot see this in history again, but it is something that did happen. You have the opportunity to create a score that is both magical and unique in its own personal way.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, this story, people grew up watching this show, right?
Yeah, this is an Indian television show. I mean, it's probably most people know this, but we do have an audience from different parts of the world. But this was originally a teleseries, like novella, I think, an Indian thing. But a love story, essentially, and then there's a lot more complexities to the story. It did get animated as well. We have seen snippets of this in, like, some of the best, not cartoon openings and like series openings.
The openings, yeah.
So it's quite delicate, this thing, because
there is
people grew up with this shit.
And there's such a high expectation, and especially after something like Andi Purush, where people had really big expectations of the film.
Ramayana is a big deal.
It was very anticipated, and people really expected something to be huge, and it sort of like let you down in the execution of the film. This has the opportunity of sort of revindicating the fantasy and the mythology of actual great stories.
So if you go in those first 30 seconds, very very simmer. Simmer is simmering.
So you have that low reverberating drums as well as vocals. You have noise pollution going through it, so you have horns and French horns, and there's a whole brass section that is sort of creating some tension.
You have that weird, what do you call those things? Gregorian.
Yeah, the vocals, they're like the basso profondo, creating the sort of weight because this is what it represents. It's sort of creating the expectation that this is larger than life, that the consequence of this will have an impact in the whole world.
Interesting enough, someone that did this really well, a production that did this really well was Endgame, the Marvel hero movie, the Avengers one, that did that quite well. It made you feel, because of that those types of arrangement, that this was bigger than life. This is the final showdown. And then what I think, the criticism of Hans, which I guess it's not a criticism, it's just for him to succeed in an industry like India, you have to, I think, be able to do what like AR has been able to do, which is you not only need to be able to create music scores and become a composer that's able to realize and communicate emotions through a music score, orchestral arrangements, symphonies, choirs, but you also need to be able to create hits, commercially available songs that are able to communicate the same depth of feelings, both lyrically and also the streamability has to be really high. Hence why I think I probably could have not thought of a better partnership. And AR is also really respected in the West, and I think Hans Zimmer is same as AR. They're respected sort of worldwide everywhere. Because if you dominate in the East and then you're respected in the West, you won.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you dominate the West, he won. He has dominated the West there as well. And Hans Zimmer, he sort of started dominating in the West for a very long time. He's been dominating the West for a while.
Well, it's his playground.
Yeah.
But what I love about this is that,
And he's
you
looking
know,
for different projects now. You
correct.
can tell, yeah.
The keep him on his toes, sort of like
Yeah.
that creativity. It's
I
alive.
noticed that with Dune.
I do think, for example, in comparison to what the recent historical dramas have done, for example, Chava, that staying in the A.R. Rahman compositions, is that I felt, this is personal, but I felt that because of the modernity of the score and the certain moments in the commercial songs, it sort of took me out of the historical element that we were embarking in. And I figured that you could have done something more epic, something a bit more consequential, if you had a composer that sort of understood the historical climate of the film.
It felt like they were prioritizing commerciality.
Correct.
And hit making. And like AR is really good at that. And
But
he
it
did.
sort of took me out of the story.
Not
However,
congruency. Like when you looked at Bajirao Mastani, Sanjay Leela, like, whoa, dude, that shit felt like that music was the music they were playing there.
Correct. And I think that's the whole immersive idea of a film. You want to be taken into this world and you want to live the story. And with this particular project, though, you have the opportunity that because things are fantastical and they cannot be human made, you have the opportunity to mix a lot of the historical musical elements as well as modern elements and contemporary music elements that will enhance the experience.
And I think we're at the right time. This is the right timeline, if you
Yes,
wish. Like,
I agree.
I think there's been so many good, also like productions that need sci-fi special effects, that type of stuff, like Kalki. And that did very well, and it looked very good visually. I think this will probably be one of the best, if not the best, probably production. I hope so, at least in terms of special effects and action and stuff like that.
Well, it feels like a project that's been put a lot of love into.
Well, also everyone here has a fuckload of money, so
Yes.
I don't think that's the issue. I'm intrigued, to say the least,